When the sun touched the edge of the Texas hills, the whole ranch softened. Horses quieted, dust settled, and the shadows stretched long across the pasture. But one thing never changed. Every evening, without missing a single day, Thunder, the huge black bull with a white blaze on his forehead, walked to the same old wooden fence and stood there, staring at the empty road that led into the wide countryside. No one knew why he did it at first. Some thought bulls just liked routine. Some said he watched for coyotes. But Tom Randall, the ranch owner, knew better. Thunder didn't stare at nothing. He stared at someone who wasn't coming back. 3 years earlier, a young ranch hand named Elias used to stand at that fence with him. Elias had a quiet smile, gentle hands, and a way of talking to Thunder like he understood every word. And Thunder did. If Elias whistled, Thunder would walk from the far end of the pasture. If he sat on the old fence rail, Thunder would rest his head on Elias's knee. But one stormy night, Elias rode out and never returned. A flash flood had swept through the canyon road. Tom tried to explain death to the bull, but Thunder only pressed his head against Elias's empty stall, letting out a low, painful sound Tom had never heard before. That sound changed the ranch forever. And from that night onward, Thunder waited at the fence every sunset, as if the world owed him one more moment with the man he loved. Tom had seen animals mourn before, but nothing like this. Thunder didn't act wild or hateful. He didn't tear fences or hurt other cattle. He simply waited. Every day. Same place. Same time. As if his heart had attached itself to a memory he refused to let go. Sometimes Tom stood beside him, leaning on the fence, watching the road too, even though he knew nobody was coming. He would whisper, "He's gone, boy. You don't need to wait anymore." But Thunder just stared ahead, unmoving. One evening, Tom tried leading Thunder away, hoping it would help him move on. But the bull stopped after 2 steps, planted his hooves, and let out a long, heartbreaking rumble. It wasn't anger. It was grief, pure and heavy. Tom felt something crack inside his chest. "All right," he whispered. "You stay. I won't bother you again." Months passed, then years. Thunder grew into one of the strongest bulls in the region, respected by every rancher who visited. But despite his size and strength, his eyes always softened at sunset. People said animals forget. Tom disagreed. Thunder hadn't forgotten a thing. But that changed on a late summer afternoon when Thunder didn't go to his fence. Tom noticed first. "Where's he gone?" he muttered, walking out of the barn. Thunder stood near the cottonwoods, pacing, tail twitching, ears pointed toward the road. He wasn't waiting quietly today. He felt something. And whatever it was, it made Thunder restless for the first time in 3 years. Tom walked toward him slowly. Thunder's massive head lifted, and his eyes locked onto the dirt road beyond the gate. A soft, distant rhythm carried in the wind, hooves light and uneven, like a pony instead of a full horse. Tom squinted. A small figure appeared at the end of the road. A boy about 11 riding a short paint pony with dusty mane. Thunder froze. Then he took 3 slow steps forward, as if drawn by something invisible. Tom wasn't sure what to think. "Easy, boy," he whispered. But Thunder didn't charge or bellow. He just watched, eyes steady, breathing deep. The boy stopped at the fence, staring at the giant bull with fear and curiosity tangled in his expression. Is that him?" he called out. Tom nodded. "That's Thunder. Don't worry, he won't hurt you." The boy swallowed hard, sliding off the pony. "My name's Caleb." Thunder's ears twitched at the sound of his voice. Tom stepped closer. "What brings you out this way, son?" Caleb hesitated, looking down at his boots. "My dad, his name was Elias." His voice cracked. "I never got to see where he worked." Thunder shifted, letting out a deep, trembling rumble, the same sound he used to make the moment Elias walked out of the barn each morning. Caleb didn't know what it meant. But Tom did. Thunder remembered the voice, or the feeling behind it. Caleb stepped up to the fence slowly, keeping his eyes on Thunder's enormous form. "Dad always talked about this ranch," he murmured. "Said it felt like home. Said there was a calf here that followed him around like a dog." Thunder lowered his head. Tom felt his breath catch. That calf was Thunder. Caleb blinked, surprised. "He still remembers him?" "More than you can imagine," Tom said. "Thunder hasn't let go, not once." Caleb lifted something from inside his shirt, a small leather bracelet tied with a faded blue thread. "My dad made this for me. He used to wear one just like it." He held it out gently. Thunder stepped closer, raising dust with each careful hoof. He stretched his neck toward the boy, sniffed the bracelet, and exhaled a long, soft breath, the kind that carried recognition. Caleb reached out with a shaking hand and touched Thunder's forehead. Thunder closed his eyes. Tom hadn't seen that piece on the bull's face in years. Caleb swallowed. Did he take care of you? Tom nodded. He loved you, he whispered. Every day he talked about going home to you. And every day Thunder waited for him to come back to the ranch. Caleb wiped his eyes. I wish I'd come sooner. Thunder took another step forward and gently nudged Caleb's shoulder, just like he used to do with Elias. The connection was instant. And it healed something in Thunder that had been broken for too long. From that first moment, Thunder refused to leave Caleb's side. Tom noticed how the bull kept glancing between Caleb and the road where Elias rode away years ago. His breathing changed, slower, calmer, almost relieved. Caleb stood quietly, brushing his fingers through the bull's thick, warm hair. You're huge, Caleb whispered. Dad never said you got this big. Thunder huffed gently as if answering him. Tom leaned on the fence. Your father raised him from a weak little calf. Thunder barely stood when he was born. Elias slept in the barn with him the first night. Caleb looked surprised. Dad did that. He saved him. No doubt about it. Thunder shifted, lowering his head again until Caleb rested his cheek against the white blaze. That's the same spot your dad used to scratch, Tom said softly. Caleb didn't move. He used to tell me bulls aren't just animals. He said they feel things deeper than people think. Tom nodded. He was right. Thunder let out a soft, low sound, half sigh, half memory. Caleb whispered, You missed him so much, didn't you? Thunder's eyes closed. Tom felt the weight of the moment like a stone in his chest. For the first time since Elias's death, Thunder wasn't waiting for a man who would never return. He was acknowledging the piece of him that had. As the late afternoon sun began dipping, Tom invited Caleb to walk the ranch with him. Thunder followed, never letting Caleb get more than a few steps away. Tom noticed how the bull walked, slow, steady, protective. Does he do this with anyone else? Caleb asked. Tom shook his head. Thunder's gentle, but he's never followed anyone besides Elias. Caleb ran his hand along Thunder's shoulder. Maybe he remembers Dad's voice. Or your face, Tom said. You look more like him than you know. Caleb blushed slightly. Mom used to say that. They reached the old barn. The door creaked softly as Tom pushed it open. Sunlight filtered through cracked wooden boards, casting warm stripes across the stalls. This was Thunder's stall when he was a calf, Tom said. Caleb stepped inside. Thunder stayed right at the entrance, his massive head leaning over the gate. His eyes softened the moment he smelled the old hay and dry cedar lingering in the air. Caleb reached up and touched the wooden beam. Dad's initials are here. Tom smiled sadly. Elias carved those the day Thunder took his first steps. Caleb traced them with his fingers. AR. Thunder's breath warmed his neck. I think he missed this more than anything, Tom whispered. Caleb closed his eyes. Thunder. I'm here now. The bull lowered his forehead into Caleb's small shoulder. And for the first time in years the barn felt whole again. When they stepped back outside, the sun was settling low, painting the sky in streaks of orange and rose. Thunder walked to the fence automatically, but this time he didn't go alone. Caleb followed him without being asked. Thunder stopped at his old waiting spot, the place where hope once held him still. Caleb climbed onto the fence rail and sat down the same way Elias used to. Thunder looked up at him, then pressed his head into Caleb's knee gently. Tom watched from a distance, hands tucked in his pockets. It almost looked like the past had returned, like the years of waiting had lifted off Thunder's shoulders. Caleb whispered, You were waiting for him, weren't you? Thunder breathed out softly, warm and steady. Caleb took off the leather bracelet and tied it around a small nail on the fence post. Dad said the ranch keeps memories. If I leave this here, maybe he'll stay close. Thunder sniffed the bracelet, then lifted his head toward the wind. Tom stepped closer. You just gave him the one thing he's been missing. Caleb glanced down. What's that? Closure, Tom said. Thunder didn't stare at the road this time. He stared at Caleb. The evening cooled and crickets filled the quiet. Caleb leaned back on the rail, feeling the breeze stroke his face. Can I visit often? He asked. Tom smiled. Son, I'd be honored if you did. Thunder needs you as much as you need this place. Thunder nudged Caleb's boot softly, encouraging him to talk more. Caleb ran his hand along the bull's neck. Dad told me stories about the ranch, but I didn't understand why he loved it so much. Tom rested his elbows on the fence. He loved it because he felt seen here. And Thunder? He saw your father better than anyone. Caleb's voice trembled. I thought animals forgot. Tom shook his head. Not the ones with real hearts. Thunder shifted his weight, lowering his chest to the ground, a sign he trusted Caleb completely. Caleb slid down beside him, sitting in the grass. Thunder rested his huge head near Caleb's lap, breathing slow and steady. Caleb placed both hands on the bull's warm face. "I think he knows I miss Dad," he whispered. Thunder let out a soft rumble, comforting, familiar. Tom swallowed hard. "He's been carrying grief alone. You just lifted half of it." Caleb leaned forward and whispered into Thunder's ear, "I'll come back. I promise." The bull didn't move. He didn't need to. He believed him. The next day, Caleb returned with a small framed photo, one of him and his father when he was little. He held it against his chest nervously as he walked toward the fence. Thunder was already waiting for him, pacing softly, ears perked as if he heard the boy from a mile away. Tom chuckled. "He's been walking circles since sunrise." Caleb smiled shyly and climbed onto the fence again. Thunder pressed his forehead into Caleb's chest, exactly where the photo rested. Caleb held it out for the bull to see. "This is him," Caleb whispered. "This was my dad." Thunder stared at the picture, nostrils flaring gently. A soft, deep sound escaped him, the same sound he made the day Elias introduced baby Caleb at the ranch gate. Caleb blinked. "He remembers this picture?" Tom nodded slowly. "Thunder remembers everything tied to the people he loves." Caleb placed the photo on the fence so Thunder could see it clearly. The bull lowered his head and rested it beneath the frame as if guarding it. Tom watched quietly. "He's telling you something." Caleb looked up. "What?" "That he didn't wait for nothing," Tom said. "He waited for you." Thunder let out one deep, warm breath across Caleb's hands. And Caleb understood. In the following weeks, Caleb visited almost every day after school. Thunder would perk up the moment he heard the pony approaching, trotting to the fence with a joy that softened even the hardest ranch hands. The bond grew fast, natural, honest, and healing for both of them. Caleb brushed Thunder's coat, fed him treats, and talked about school, missing his father, and how he always felt alone at home. Thunder listened with a calm only animals carry, responding with soft rumbles and gentle nudges. One afternoon, Caleb asked a quiet question. "Tom, why didn't Thunder give up waiting?" Tom leaned on the barn door thinking. "Because some hearts don't move on. They just hold their place until someone who carries the same warmth returns." Caleb touched Thunder's forehead. "Do I carry Dad's warmth?" Tom nodded. "Every bit of it." Thunder lowered himself to sit beside Caleb, who leaned back against the bull's shoulder. "Dad would have wanted me to come here," Caleb said. "He would have wanted Thunder to have you," Tom replied. As the sun dipped lower, Thunder pressed Caleb closer with the side of his head. Not because he was confused. Because he knew Caleb wasn't just a visitor. He was home. One evening a storm rolled in, the kind Elias used to ride out in. Wind whipped across the pasture, and rain tapped hard against the roof of the barn. Thunder grew restless, pacing near the fence as lightning flashed in the distance. Caleb arrived soaked through, sliding off his pony and running toward Thunder. "I'm here," he shouted over the rain. Thunder stopped pacing. He lowered his head and ran toward Caleb, not fast enough to harm him, but fast enough to make Tom's breath catch. The bull pressed his forehead against Caleb's chest, rumbling deeply. Caleb hugged him around the neck. "I'm not leaving. I promise." Thunder calmed instantly, nuzzling the boy's hair. Tom walked out with a coat. Storms scare him now. Ever since that night Elias didn't come back. Caleb looked up, sadness filling his eyes. Then he doesn't have to wait through storms alone anymore. Thunder leaned onto Caleb gently, settling his huge weight close enough to shield the boy from the wind. Caleb rested against him, letting the bull's warmth cover him like a blanket. Tom watched the two of them, boy and bull, both carrying pieces of someone they loved. The storm lasted for hours. Thunder didn't move once. Caleb stayed with him the entire time. Two broken hearts mending together. Months passed and the ranch changed in small but meaningful ways. Thunder no longer stood alone at the sunset fence. Now Caleb sat beside him every evening, their silhouettes blending into the soft gold of the horizon. The ranch hands smiled when they walked by. Tom always watched quietly, grateful that life had given Thunder the one thing he'd waited years for. One afternoon, Caleb brought a small wooden box to the fence. Inside was the second bracelet, the one Elias used to wear. Caleb tied it to the same post where he left his own. Thunder sniffed it, then looked at Caleb with a soft, almost human sadness. Caleb wiped a tear. "I'm not replacing him," he whispered. "I'm just carrying what he left behind." Thunder pressed his forehead gently against Caleb's shoulder, the same touch he once gave Elias. Tom felt his chest tighten as he watched. He finally let go of the waiting, Tom said, because he realized the person he waited for came back in another form. Thunder didn't stare down the empty road anymore. He stared at Caleb. The ranch wasn't missing Elias now. It was carrying him forward. And Thunder, the bull who once mourned alone at the fence, now walked with purpose, protecting the boy who held the same voice, the same warmth, the same heart. Moral: love doesn't disappear. It simply finds new places to live. And sometimes, the pain we carry becomes easier when we share it with someone who remembers the same light.